for those of us who are a part of the reconciling movement and who are committed to justice and equality for all LGBT people, part of that work includes working to end the torture of solitary confinement, a reality faced by thousands of LGBT incarcerated people around the country. We know that disproportionately and overwhelmingly people of color in our prisons are subject to solitary confinement, and we know that particularly LGBT people are placed in solitary confinement. At times, it may be called protective custody. Protective custody is used to prevent sexual assault. We know that particularly for transgender people in our prisons, sexual assault is a very real and daily threat. But part of the problem is that the solution that's really not a solution that's been presented, particularly to trans people inside, is protective custody, which is itself solitary confinement. Solitary is considered a form of torture by the United Nations and by governments around the world. We know this because solitary confinement fundamentally changes the chemistry of the human brain. And yet what we have said to LGBT people who are incarcerated is that we don't have a solution. So rather than recognizing their inherent human dignity and sacred worth, we have allowed for far too long for LGBT persons who are incarcerated to be placed in conditions that constitute torture. And it's time for us as people of faith to stand together, to stand behind our LGBT community who has been subject to these conditions, to stand with them, to hear their stories, to make their stories known in our communities, and to make our elected officials aware that this is a practice that we can't abide as people of faith.